Welcome back, everyone, to the Retro Chat podcast. Andy here joining me. It's my old mate, the man who tells it like it is, the man who, by the time you listen to this or watch this, which is a couple of weeks' time, will have officially captained the bridge of the Enterprise, at least for one occasion.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know about that. It felt like it.
And if you want to know what I'm talking about, go back to twitch.tv/the M.A.S. network and just look at the archives. But we're taping this the day after Lee did his pilot edition of running M.O.S.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, M.O.S. we've had some issues with Lawrence's internet. He normally runs Streamlabs, so he runs all the broadcasting software. But his internet has been out, and he's only really able to just sort of basically limp through a Zoom call. So I've got all the software, and I was running the ship yesterday. And yeah, it is like running the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. And don't know how any of it works, and was limping through and tried to do our best. It was a bit choppy, but it was all right. We got there in the end.
You remember back in the day when it all used to be audio and you had Sam and we pressed one button and that was it. You faded the music out.
It was so good.
The music in.
Yeah. So easy.
Anyway, how you doing, my friend? How you keeping?
I'm good. It's it's been a long couple of weeks. Helping my girlfriend with a house move and all the stuff going on with Lawrence having COVID and then his internet going out. So M.O.S. has been all over the place. I'm away the next couple of Sundays, going up to the NFL in London. So trying to plan for that as well. It's all systems go, but looking forward to talking some retro 80s cartoon stuff. And I think like right above there we go, is I'm doing it. That's cool. Is the M.A.S.K logo. And I absolutely love M.A.S.K. I'm so excited to talk about it because I haven't talked about M.A.S.Ks probably since it was on TV and I had the toys.
Which was what, 19, I've got the stats, we'll get into it. I think it was like 1987, and then M.A.S.K the movie. And when I first put this out and said we were doing M.A.S.K, right, I only put M.A.S.K. Yeah. So the amount of people that I had come at me going, "You're doing the Jim Carrey movie? Amazing!"
No, not the Jim Carrey movie. Yeah.
Before we get into all the good stuff, let's do some contact details. So if you would like to get in contact with Retro Chat here at social media, you can do. All you need to do is go to Facebook and Instagram at Retro Chat Podcast, tweet us at Retro Chat Pod, or join us on YouTube like you're doing right now at Retro Chat Podcast UK. If you want to subscribe to the audio show, please do, because that's where we put all the extra content, including, my old friend, Legends and Champions.
Absolutely great. We started off a little bit of an offbeat podcast, and we thought we'll scrap that idea and we'll go and do some classic wrestling.
Do you remember what it was called? It was Lee and Andy Confidential, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so we'd already got LACpodcast.com registered. So we're like, well, okay, so we're not going to do Lee and Andy Confidential. We'll change it to something to do with wrestling. What can LAC podcast be? Legends and Champions is what we called it.
And it worked. 13 episodes. And we had some crackers, like interviews with Samoa Joe, Gary Michael Capetta, Terry Runnels, who was in the news recently with Dark Side of the Ring. So you can listen to that on the audio feed. And to do that, you need to go to Spotify, Google, Apple, Amazon, iCast, iHeart, Pandora, Lovecast, Pocketcast, any type of cast you want to cast it to, and search for Retro Chat or visit the website.
Down there, look at all the podcast links down there. There you go.
Although, if you would like to listen to some, I would say wrestling chat, but it's a lot of chat. Then you can do each and every Sunday normally throughout October at twitch.tv/the M.A.S. network, where you can listen to and watch Lee and Lawrence for about 2 hours of insane wrestling chat, where wrestling is awesome once again on that show.
Absolutely, yeah. We're enjoying doing M.O.S. at the moment. Again, just subject to the internet working. We are doing Monday nights at 8 p.m. throughout October, and then flipping back to Sunday on Halloween. So Halloween, we're going to do, forget what WWE have said. We are going to bring back Halloween Havoc in M.O.S. form. I think there's some rumors of fancy dress going on. It's going to be quite exciting. We're going to do a Halloween-themed episode of Ministry of Slam. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, check us out on Twitch. And again, podcast, search for Ministry of Slam. All the same places that Retro Chat is, you can find Ministry of Slam as well.
Are you going to do an unexplained side of the Slam live on Halloween?
That is an interesting question. I think we did talk about it. It's whether or not. So, Unexplained Side of the Slam is one of our sort of spin-off podcasts that we do with Crimson Mel. He runs a podcast called Unexplained Possibilities, where he talks about just weird and wonderful and eclectic stuff of sort of dark side kind of things. So we look at professional wrestling and some of the creepy characters in professional wrestling. And for example, Papa Shango, who was a voodoo master, and we talk about how close did WWE actually get that character? Did they do it right? What's the lore of voodoo, and how much did they bring it into the character? It's really interesting time. But yeah, I think Mel is going to be pretty busy on Halloween, I would guess. But we can see if we could do one. That'd be a really interesting time.
It really is a fascinating show. It's something completely different that you don't normally expect to hear on a wrestling podcast. And when you think about the characters, like you said, Papa Shango, the Demon, Bray Wyatt, the Undertaker, all that type of thing, it's really quite the Boogeyman. It's really quite classic.
Yeah.
One last plug from me before we hit M.A.S.K, and this is the last time you will hear it, but I really, really need your support. October 27 at 8 o'clock is Quiz Night Live, supporting the wonderful charity of Julia's House, which is Dorset and Wiltshire, supporting terminally ill children and their families in hospice care. We're going to be live at 8 o'clock with Quiz Night Live, the trivia challenge, where it's going to be 5 rounds, 50 questions, raising money for charity. And as we've done the last couple of weeks, this is why we're doing it.
Julia's House is a children's hospice. We're here to provide care for children who have life-limited and life-threatening conditions. We provide that regular breaks for the families to just allow them to get on with their lives and cope. It may be that we're looking after the children in the hospice, but it may be that we're looking after them at home as well. A couple of hours every week just to give the family a little bit of a break, or the kids come in here for a day or for a whole weekend.
We try and make the sessions as fun as we possibly can. So we have a playmaker, and we have people that will organise activities very specific to the children that are coming in, but allowing the children to access as much of the hospice as they can. And it is about making memories and having a good time, and we hope that's what we offer, and I think we do.
We want the children to be bursting through the doors with a smile on their face. We want them to be excited about coming here. We want to create some happy memories for them and for their families, and we want them to be able to play where they're not limited, where they're not the odd ones out, where they can use the equipment that we've got that allows them to play like other children do.
It's just been such a lifeline, because with a baby like Chloe, you're isolated from the outside world, so just to have some friendly faces come in on a regular basis is just something I look forward to. I know I can rely on them, and that Chloe's going to be safe with them, and that maybe I could take Chloe's sisters out whilst Julia's House are at home with my daughter.
And that's why we're doing it. Julia's House.
Amazing cause.
Yeah, absolutely. Providing support for families, not only for the children, but for families of those who are suffering, who have got terminally ill. Join me October 27, 8 o'clock, live right here on YouTube, on Facebook, and if I can get it to work, on Twitch.
Who knows?
Who knows with Twitch? There is a Just Giving page. All the contact details and all the information are in the narrative, both on here and on the audio feed. Please donate. All the funds, 100% of it, will go directly to Julia's House. And with everything the pandemic has thrown at us over the last 18 months, now more than ever, we need to support these wonderful charities.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Andy, if I can be of any help at all on the quiz night or whatever, count me in. More than happy to jump on board and assist wherever we can.
Fantastic, mate. You don't realize how much that means as well. I'll tell you who might be joining us, and I'm just waiting to find out, is J. Anthony Frankie from the California Dreams. Yes.
Now, I saw that interview, and that's... Oh, okay. What? What's wrong with that?
I was waiting for someone to turn around and say you made the technical error with the name.
Oh no, no. I watched the interview. It was good. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
it was good interview. And if you haven't watched it, if you're just tuning in here to watch M.A.S.K, because you've Googled and you've seen there's a video show about M.A.S.K, check back last week's show on Retro Chat and check it out. California Dreams, not one of the real mainstream kind of cult TV shows, but it was certainly out there in the time. And can you get? You've probably done the research. Can you get California Dreams on any of the streaming services?
No.
Oh.
And actually, the interview goes into details why. Now, it looks like there's a massive petition that Jay has got about trying to get it on Peacock because it's an NBC show and Saved by the Bell's on there. But they sold they sold the syndication rights to another company, and that company has gone bust. So California Dreams is just sat somewhere collecting dust. That's it. There's no DVDs. There's no merchandise. But Jay's on a mission to get it recognized.
How mad is that?
But what I can announce, and I'm just waiting for a date, is that we have another California Dreams cast member coming to Retro Chat.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, how are you getting all these people? They're coming out of the woodwork.
Because they're not wrestling.
Who want to charge us for everything. It's absolutely nightmare.
Or just don't reply when you send them an email.
Exactly. That happens a lot.
We have another cast member coming on, and we're in talks to bring even more California Dreams cast members coming on. And also a star from Voyager.
Wow. I loved Voyager.
Yeah.
Voyager's amazing.
Who was also in Picard.
Oh, now that kind of narrows it down a little bit.
And it's not female.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to think back about that. I thought of the obvious. I thought of obviously Jerry Ryan.
It's not the obvious, and it's also not the same actor. That might give you a bigger clue.
Right, I'm with you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. We're not going to announce it. We'll wait. You can make a big announcement about that on the Retro Chat podcast. And people who haven't worked it out,
we're just waiting for a date, but it's all confirmed. He's coming on.
Sweet, good times.
Right, let's do this. So let's talk all about M.A.S.K, the Mobile Armored Strike Command, Matt Tracker, and his team. What was it about M.A.S.K that really got you hooked? Because, like you said, this was, one of your favorites back in the day, back in the 80s.
Absolutely. Now, I can't remember what I saw first, whether or not it was the toys or if it was the TV show. Now, taking a few steps back, there's an amazing show on Netflix, those of you who haven't seen it, called The Toys That Made Us. And they haven't done a show about M.A.S.K yet, but it's got to be in the future. But M.A.S.K, like many other 80s TV shows or 80s TV cartoons, they produced the cartoon to promote the toy line and vice versa. They put them side by side. So you had the toys and you had the cartoon show. And there we are. Cool videos. Look at that. I like this. And I never had that one. Boulder
cool.
Hill, I had that.
One.
I'll talk about Boulder Hill in a bit. But yeah, so you had the toys to go along with the TV show. So you could watch the TV show, and then you could get, like, when it had finished, you can go and play with the toys. Really, really cool. They did that with things like Thundercats, Transformers, obviously. Everything that had toys had a TV show that went with it, and vice versa. So I think it was that sort of fact that you could, same with the wrestling figures, all the old Hasbros, you could watch your WWF, watch that for an hour on a Saturday morning, then get your Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior out and have a match. And, toy companies did that so well back in that era. But the thing that really got it from me, and again, same with Transformers, you had the vehicles and they did different things, and then the little tiny cool masks that you could put on each of the characters. So cool. Loved it.
It's a bit like the Visionaries that we talked about last week on the show, because it was really kind of state of the art, where you could actually have the holograms, and the holograms would appear on the chest and the emblems. This was so cool, wasn't it? And it was just a family cartoon that you can look back on now, and just it still stands the test of time.
It really does. I mean, I've got hold of since we decided that we were doing this. I had DVDs back in the past, and I had some of the videotapes back in the day. I had a big double videotape set, and it wasn't sort of like WrestleMania 4 sandwiched. It was one tape on top of the other, so it was almost like an A4 video packet that opened. And I wish I could find or get hold of that. It was really cool. Loads of episodes of M.A.S.K on it. Really kind of retro. You had Matt Tracker, who was kind of the kids' version of Tony Stark, I would guess. A rich millionaire, lived in a mansion. He was the kind of the funder, and owned this whole thing. Anyway, I'll let you get into the history and the story of it, but yeah, just unbelievable. And yeah, it does stand up today.
Well, let's give you some stats, because it started out in 1985 on the 30th of September, and it ran for just over a year. Ended up in the 26th of November 86, 2 seasons with 75 episodes. And did you know, Lee, its country of origin was in France?
Yeah, wasn't it? Oh God, what was the name of the guy? Jean Chalopin, I think, who was one of the producers or directors or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember seeing his name back in the day and thought it was something. There was something to that.
Yeah, so the executive producers were Jean Jalopin, like you said,
Yeah.
Andy Hayward, and Tetsuya Katayama. And it's also known for being one of the Saban Entertainment properties. So the guys who did the Power Rangers as well. Now, M.A.S.K stood, as we know, for Mobile Armored Strike Command, a task force led by Matt Tracker, who operates those transforming armored vehicles against Venom, the vicious evil network of mayhem. It was just so damn cool. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, that is it. That is it. Boil it up in a nutshell. It was just cool.
You know, as when we were kids, right? It was a great time to be a child, wouldn't it? To be a young boy, because you had He-Man, you had the Thundercats, you had He-Man. I've said that. You had She-Ra, you had the Transformers, Visionary, Centurions, the Inhumanoids, Jason the Real Warriors, just to like name a few. And you talked about the wrestling figures earlier on, and you would have your superstars of wrestling on a Saturday morning on Sky One, and then you would get your ring and your battle. But you would also do the same thing, wouldn't you? You would have Leoric facing off against Prince Adam, or Matt Tracker facing off against Lion-O, or something like that, or the Winged Raider trying to fight off against...
Exactly, because you never had like the whole set of one line. You'd have like a few wrestling figures and a few Visionaries and a few Mask figures and a few Transformers. So you if you wanted to have a giant big battle, you would have lots of different people from different different lines. You just had giant battle, Optimus Prime squashing Hulk Hogan and things like that. That's what you used to do as a kid.
Exactly, and you used to have Venom joining forces with Cobra and Mumra.
Why not? It sounds good.
I tell you what, that's a cartoon if they ever saw one right now. But I think it was the animation as well that made such a difference, if you think about it, because they was, again, it was standard line drawing animation, just like you had back in the 80s. No CGI, no digital animation. It was hand drawn. And by God, did you, as I said last week on Visionaries, you got sucked in. I think you just really did believe it.
And the coolest bit for me was when every single episode, some kind of disaster happens, some kind of problem happens that M.A.S.K needs to go out and sort out, and it's usually Miles Mayhem and Venom have done something really bad, and it causes an issue that M.A.S.K have got to go and sort out. There is Matt Tracker, and this is it. This is the coolest bit ever, if I'm guessing rightly. Right. The mission happens, and it shows whoever the person is. That's Bruce Sato with Rhino. He's at his little toy shop because he runs a toy shop. His little watch goes off, his bat signal, and he runs off. And every time they walk away from their day job, some kind of disastrous thing happens. They leave like something's going to happen with this bird, guaranteed. But
nobody cares, do they? They just go. That's it.
Bird, see you later. Off he goes. And so you get these little readouts, and there's the computer voice in the background. Hondo McLean there. He just ditches whatever he's doing, and off he goes. And then you see the M.A.S.K characters in the librarian, not very happy. You see them all sat around their chairs in the M.A.S.K headquarters, and their masks get energized. They get charged up with power, and then they get put down over their heads, and then they launch off out of Boulder Hill with all their various vehicles. And I think part of the excitement of it is you never knew until you were watching the program which people you were going to see. I always liked Brad Turner with Condor. He was the rock star, and he had the green bike. Here he is.
It's turned like into what was coming up next, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. So there he is. He gets a little buzz on his. Yeah, off he goes, and someone is going to fall off the. Oh no, he was just about to buy a guitar, but then he's disappeared.
But yeah, female, you need to have at least one woman on the team. Otherwise,
Gloria Baker, she was a world championship race driver. Amazing. There you go. So she presumably ditches, gets out the car, off she goes. There we go.
There is so many loopholes in there. It's like, how did he get the money? How did he develop it? How did he do it? But you just don't care because it's just so cool.
It's awesome. And you always got Scott Tracker and T-Bob getting into some kind of mischief halfway through, and M.A.S.K have got to bail them out of it, or and then at the end there'll be some kind of nice fable to it. And remember, don't set fires in your bedroom because it's bad and everything will explode.
This is what you were talking about here. So this is what we're watching on screen now, is them actually having the masks put on them. So they're sat, they've had the mission briefing, and this is where they are part of the team. And this was again, just so unique, so different. And what I loved about this, mate, was the fact that it wasn't a Hasbro property. It wasn't the Transformers. It wasn't like a Rankin Bass Thundercats. It felt like it, but it also was unique. It was different, and it was ahead of its time.
So the masks, of course, they, as you can see with Miles Mayhem there, who's the key bad guy, all of the masks had different powers. So there was the one with Buddy Hawks there. I can't remember the name of his mask, but he could turn things into holograms.
Flamethrower there.
Yeah, flamethrower. There we go. Yeah, they've all got different powers. Matt Tracker, the leader, he had 2 different outfits and 2 different masks.
Did he?
Yeah, because he had the one that we saw him in there in the red outfit. He was in, I think it was called Ultra Lift or something, and he could make stuff float. And then when he was in Thunderhawk, which was the red sports car that the gull wings came up and could fly, he was in like a grey outfit, and he had one called Spectrum, it was called, and could shoot lasers out of it and things. It was that was really cool.
I love doing this show because you get to look back at some of this old stuff that you haven't seen before for a long time. And the thing about this as well was the music.
Yes, yeah. I still sing it sometimes. Just singing the theme tune. You got to do it in the shower sometimes.
Okay.
Why not?
If that's what you want to do, that's up to you.
It's amazing seeing some of the toys that I used to have as well. That red bike there, Floyd Malloy, that is, and what was his thing called? Again, it was a bike that flew. It was kind of like the anti Brad Turner in Masks kind of thing.
So you obviously were a massive fan of M.A.S.K, and we've identified that. What did you have the most toys of, though?
What did I have the most toys of? To begin with, Masters of the Universe, then kind of that died off, and I got into the more, I'd say the more mature, but I've grew out of Masters of the Universe, and I went into Transformers, M.A.S.K. Had a few Visionaries, not so many of those though, and then Thundercats was the big ones for me. But M.A.S.K I absolutely loved. I remember the one Christmas when I got Boulder Hill in a massive box, and got to take that out and build it and stick the stickers on and all that. That was so cool. Thunderhawk, Matt Tracker's car I had, Condor, I had Brad Turner's green bike, Gator as well, the orange Jeep that it popped up and the little speedboat thing came out. That ended up in the bath and all the stickers fell off because, of course, you wanted to have it in the bath because it would go around. It was water.
It's a speedboat, right? You don't know the difference. You just want to send it out.
Exactly. So I had quite a few, and then they used to sell. So the characters only initially came with the vehicles, but then they started to do little separate packs where you could get the figures separate. And the figures, did you have any of them, Andy? Did you have any of the M.A.S.K toys?
I had one, and that was the bike. So Sato with the bike, I had that one.
Okay.
And I didn't have many of the toys. For me, I was more He-Man. He-Man and Transformers. So I had loads of them, and you would do like, Adam, that one pose that he had because you couldn't kind of like move the character around, but like some of those Galoob figures behind you. And then Optimus Prime. But I used to have the M.A.S.K bike coming in every now and then and try and recreate the intro music with M.A.S.K, and then when it kind of like the bike disappears at the last minute.
But the figures were really interesting because different. I mean, again, you said it wasn't Hasbro, and when you look at the figures, it's really clear. You can see that because the figures, they weren't so G.I. Joe or Action Force as it was over here in the UK. They were quite small figures, but the M.A.S.K figures were even smaller than that. A really sort of good articulated joints, really good detail on the faces, and they used to sell them sort of later on, almost in a wave 2 of M.A.S.K. They reissued a lot of the figures and they'd sell them separately. Like Matt Tracker had, it was just a repaint of the original figure with sort of white and light blue, and there was like a ski version, so he was on a ski mission and he came with a little set of skis and a different mask, and I had a few of those, but yeah, the figures were really good. I'll see if I can find some sometime on eBay, get some of those.
I think they are worth a fortune now. If you can still get them carded, those M.A.S.K. figures are worth it. Now, the interesting thing about that is the toy line lasted longer than the cartoon. So the toy line lasted 3 years.
Yeah.
And like we said, the cartoon lasted only a year with 2 seasons, 75 episodes. And then the thing about the cartoon as well is, when we spoke to Larry Kenny, and you and I have both spoken to Larry before on TSC and various different things. The one thing that always came out of that is the writers never knew whether the cartoon was going to get extended past 13 episodes. So the fact that they got 2 seasons out of it anyway, is about right, because Masters was 2 seasons, Transformers was 4, well, 3.5 if you count the 4th season was only like 3 episodes long because it was the Headmaster. Visionaries was only 13 episodes. The Centurions, I think, was 65. Inhumanoids was about 65. Thundercats was 3 seasons, something like that. So to get 75 episodes out of it and a feature-length movie, which was a straight to video release, was a testament to actually how popular Kenner had with that line.
And again, I think it's a lot of it is down to, that they'll obviously be looking at the sales of the toys to see how, if the toys keep selling, they will keep producing the TV show, because it's almost a commercial for the to sell the toys. And because they were such good quality toys, I think, the kids obviously wanted to keep playing with them. So, right, well, let's keep producing the TV show then for the second season, and, keep moving it on, just so, because the toys were really good. And again, I think they'd stand up today a hell of a lot better quality than a lot of stuff you see on the shelves today.
Absolutely. But I think the fact that they were unique as well, they were smaller than the normal, 6.5 inch action figures, that made it different as well.
It did. It did, totally. And again, it just made it, it made it difficult to mix the universes, because even with an Action Force, it was a lot taller and it didn't really work. But it just made it a bit different. You get all your wrestling figures and they're all the same size. Even when the WCW ones came out, they were all, you could kind of comparable sizes. But yeah, a M.A.S.K. were totally different. And you could really only have your M.A.S.K. universe in and amongst itself. You couldn't really mix a lot of other stuff in it.
So would it survive now? If it came back, if M.A.S.K. was rebooted, we know it's still popular. We know there's still a buzz for it. And we know that there's even been talk of a feature film, a live action feature film being made. If they brought it back now, how would they do it? How would they make it look? What do you think?
I mean, I would go. It's reading back, and I know they've attempted to. I know COVID hasn't really helped. They've looked at doing a movie and incorporating it into. I think they were looking at a universe, bringing it into the G.I. Joe universe, and having it as a sort of side project to the G.I. Joe stuff. And I think that would really work. Have it on a similar line as G.I. Joe. Just keep a lot of the main characters in, all of the first season characters. Bring some of those guys in, and I think it would really work. Have it, very similar to, what the G.I. Joe movie was to the original G.I. Joe figures. It was a lot more sort of high tech, and with it, I think you could do exactly the same thing with M.A.S.K. and it would really work.
But do you think it would lose something now, going from the line drawing like we talked about earlier on? So now it's, now you look at things like Peppa Pig or Paw Patrol, which is all CGI. Even if you think about Sonic the Hedgehog, the live action film that came out, if they did it animated again, is there a part of you would go, I just want to watch it the old way, or would it work now being CGI, or would it look too fake?
They'd have to do the right sort of CGI. I wouldn't want to do it sort of, with that real sort of Polar Express type detail. That they'd have to make it look modern but retro at the same time. If you get what I mean, if they were to do it animated, I think you could potentially run something like have a proper feature film like G.I. Joe did, but then launch a new spin-off cartoon series CGI based, similar to how they did it with Voltron on Netflix. That kind of style I think could work quite well. Have it almost a little bit anime style. in there, and yeah, they can make it really work. I think they could.
A bit like have you seen the Castlevania series that's on Netflix?
No, I haven't yet. I have seen it's out there, but I haven't watched it yet.
Check that out, because if you've ever played the Castlevania game,
yeah,
I mean, it's a real Japanese anime style. It's very fluid. Imagine Masters Revelations, and that's kind of where they've taken the inspiration from Castlevania in terms of the animation. It is very gory, it's very violent, but it's beautifully done.
Yeah.
But the thing with it, it looks as close to a line drawing as what you would get, and the characters look real. They don't look like they're fake. They don't look, like the CGI. Fireman Sam. Let's take Fireman Sam for example. You watch Fireman Sam, it doesn't look anything like a human. Or Postman Pat. You can tell I've got a 3-year-old, can't you?
Definitely. But I know what you mean. It needs to be modern, but with that retro feel. It needs to be not taken so far away from the 80s series that we all love. It needs to call back to that. And the Kevin Smith Master of the Universe series, it had its faults, but I really liked it, and it did feel like I was watching sort of an extension of the old He-Man series.
Let's switch gears a minute, because the last time you came on was SummerSlam 2001, and we talked about that show 20 years ago, and we touched very briefly on Revelations, and you hadn't watched all of it. What's your take now? You've seen all the first 5 episodes?
I haven't seen all. I've watched more since. I've watched more since last time, but I still haven't completed it all. Again, there's so much stuff going on. But again, the direction it's taken, I really do like it. The fact it is focusing on not just He-Man, it is the Masters of the Universe, focusing on each individual character. He-Man is almost an afterthought in some of the episodes. And, I really like the fact that they've done that. And it's not just because, everyone wanted to be He-Man. It was, to begin with, it was Master of the Universe, that it was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Yeah. And He-Man was just the big selling point. But, I like the fact that they've kind of spread it out a bit. It's good. I like what they've done.
Well, we're going to have to see the next time you come on the show whether or not you've seen the end of it.
I will. I think I've got 2 more left to watch, so I'll see if I can get to that.
Oh, they're good ones. Yeah, there's definitely a cliffhanger at the end of the last episode.
Okay, I will. I'll keep an ear out.
Going back to M.A.S.K, did you ever play the Amstrad or the ZX Spectrum or the Sinclair games?
There was M.A.S.K and there was M.A.S.K 2 as well.
Yeah,
there were 2 separate ones. I did have both of those. It was one of those things because I loved M.A.S.K. I always used to play it a lot, and then sort of 20 minutes in, I think this game is rubbish, and I turn it off. And then a week later, I'll be, M.A.S.K, I'm going to play the game. And again, just lather, rinse, and repeat. It's the games weren't great, but
so you thought there were 2 games, right?
Is there more than that?
There's a M.A.S.K trilogy.
Is there? I thought there was only. Well, I mean, I only had M.A.S.K 1 and M.A.S.K 2.
Yeah, so M.A.S.K 1 was released back in 1987 by Gremlin.
Yes.
And the player controlled Thunderhawk.
And it was a side scroller, and you'd sort of go up and down.
Yeah. The premise was that Venom have propelled Boulder Hill into a time vortex, and the player must rescue the other members of M.A.S.K by collecting and then reassembling parts of a scan key. Then you had M.A.S.K 2, which was also released in 87. And that featured more of the M.A.S.K vehicles and included a process where you could choose the vehicles to use before the game began. So I can imagine which one you would go for.
That was the coolest bit, because, how many games back then, especially on the Amstrad and the Spectrum and the Commodore and stuff, here is your character, go do your thing. But to be able to choose which things that you had before, how cool is that? You dive in there, choose your favorite vehicles and start playing. That was my favorite bit.
Well, this one was actually received better by the press because they said it was a better tie-in to the franchise than the first one because it had more of the characters on there.
Yeah.
Then you had M.A.S.K 3, which was Venom Strikes Back. And that was released in 88. And the premise of this one is that Venom have kidnapped and are holding Scott Tracker on the moon. The player controls Matt Tracker, who is unrecognizable in a spacesuit with a helmet, through a series of static screens featuring platform puzzles and obstacles which must be overcome using the powers of various masks. The player can hold up to 4 masks at a time, but can only use the power of 1. The mask can also be exchanged at certain points. It received the best reviews of the trilogy, despite the deviation from the franchise's storyline and style. All 3 titles were released for the ZX Spectrum, the 64, and Amstrad, while the second and third were released for the MSX format. So there you go. There's the third one.
Wow, I never even knew it existed. Or maybe if I did know it existed, I wasn't interested because you didn't get to fly the vehicles around.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have been a massive fan just seeing Matt Tracker in a spacesuit wandering around.
No. Once
Wouldn't
you're
have done
saying
it.
that, I'm going to need to try and get a copy of this to do a retro play
Yeah.
and put it up on the YouTube because I never played it.
I never even. Well, I mean, yeah. Again, if I did realize it, I've certainly never played it before. So yeah, sounds really cool.
I just remember playing He-Man on the Commodore. That was about as far as I got.
Now, is that the one that was based off of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I played that. I'm sure I had it for a little while. I can't remember a lot about it, but yeah.
And then there was what was the other good C64 game was Batman from the 89 movie. And what I remember about that is my father got me a VHS copy of Batman. It was an ex-rental copy, and when you put it in, it had like the really big box. It was, the big rental box that they had back in the day.
Yeah.
And it had a trailer for the Commodore 64 Batman game.
Yeah.
And just went, I need to get that. So we got a 64, played that, and it was bloody awful.
Yeah.
But at the time, memories.
I remember one of the again. We'll try and get back onto topic in a second. One of the classic 80s games that I do remember playing is Airwolf.
Yes.
And again, you wanted to fly around blowing stuff up as the helicopter, but it was almost, those things where you've got the wire and you've got to go along it without touching the wire so you don't get electrocuted. It was literally just trying to position the helicopter going through this cave, and if you touch the sides, you blew up. Like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to be flying around blowing stuff up.
There was a game on the Nintendo called Stealth ATF.
Okay.
And I remember it because we were in Bournemouth one day and we saw it, and I was begging my mum to get the game, and eventually we got it. Bear in mind, like, you and I are knee high to grasshoppers.
Yeah.
At this point, right? Well, you are a lot taller than me, so you're most likely up to your dad's shoulder by this point. I was up to a kneecap. And we went into Dixon's and got a copy of the game. And I remember I was like, the cover looked amazing. It was like a fighter jet, and you saw the fighter jet and all this type of thing. And you put the cartridge in, and all you did was sit behind the cockpit. That was it. And it was just like little lines with the gun as you're trying to fire the bullets, and it's like little lines going out. But
so just some of the games, it wasn't all about the graphics. It was about the playability, and some of those, it was all we had back then. Some of them were really great.
It's all new, yeah. And now you look at like PS4 and PS5 and Xbox
ridiculous.
X.
Could you imagine a M.A.S.K game today?
Oh, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
That would be good. We need to get some retro games. Yeah.
Someone should do
retro
that.
franchises.
Someone should pick it up and run with it. It would make a mint.
Yeah, I'd love it. Absolutely love it. I'd certainly be buying it.
So would I. Yeah, mind you, can't be as bad as what the Battlestar game on the PS2 was.
Oh, I never played it. Is it
you
bad?
Never played that. Yeah.
No.
And the Knight Rider games and the He-Man games on the PS2 were not.
Right.
Check out Retro Play for a drive along of Knight Rider.
Okay. Not good.
No. But I think, to kind of wrap this one up, because we can sit here and reminisce and all this type of thing, where does M.A.S.K stand, in your opinion? Out of all of the 80s cartoons, where does it rank?
See, I don't think M.A.S.K gets a lot of the credit it deserves. It's everyone thinks of, if you look at people our age, like, what was your favorite 80s TV show that had toys attached to it? Oh, I love Thundercats, I love Transformers. A lot of people don't even remember M.A.S.K, and that's really sad. I mean, it's right up there for me. It's probably that and Transformers, I'd say, are my top two. Centurions is another one that doesn't get a lot of love, but I absolutely adored. And I even look at the toys, the Centurions toys on eBay to this day to see if I can pick up a cheap set and build up all the little weapons and everything. So if ever you do a Centurion show, Andy, I'd like to be a part of that.
It's already been planned for the new year.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. Pencil me in.
Yeah, I've already penciled it, because we might as well announce the next show, or one of the next shows that you're going to be on, because I can't remember if you're doing any more before this one. I can't remember. But we're going to be talking about an 80s cult classic, and you talk about a cartoon that doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. I think it's fair to say that this show doesn't get the recognition, because before Knight Rider and Airwolf, there was what, Lee?
Streethawk.
Rex
and
Smith.
You've got to love Streethawk again. I'm on a lot of Streethawk fan pages on Facebook. There's a real big community. Rex Smith is massively involved in sort of keeping the Streethawk dream alive. He was even writing a pilot to do a bit of a reboot of Streethawk at one point. He's almost like, some people don't like to be identified with specific roles, and they want to try and shy away from them. But similar to sort of Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker, he'll do everything that's related to Star Wars. He won't shy away from it. Similar with Rex Smith and Streethawk, you know, he goes to the conventions, he puts the helmet on, he does the bike, and you know, really, really great stuff from Rex Smith. And yeah, classic show. Think of Knight Rider on a bike. It only lasted for one season. I've got some of the books. I'll save what I did in lockdown story for the actual episode, but I had some Streethawk involvement whilst I was on furlough for 8 months. Yeah. I have told you this.
You have actually, yes.
Yeah, I'll tell that story in detail on the show.
I will be honest, I have sent a message to a certain actor to see if they would come on, but I've had no responses yet. So I'm hoping that by the time you come on, we can do a live. And there you go. We can do a live, interview with Rex Smith about Streethawk, or at least a pre-recorded one. That's the aim.
That would be great. That would be so good. Go. And the other actor that you could get hold of is Joe Regalbuto, who played Norman. Now, he had another role in another 80s sitcom, I think, back then, but he hasn't done much else. And just thinking about availability and things like that, and someone who might be a good person to bring up from the past is that chap. So yeah, he played Norman, who was kind of like the Yoda to Jesse's Luke Skywalker. He sort of sat behind the Master Control Center, and yeah, really, really great. I think he'd be a really good get if you could get in touch with him.
Well, we'll chat off air, because there is another person as well that if we could get him. Would kill two birds with one stone, and that's Robert Beltran.
I know. Yeah, I was just going to say it's going to be Voyager.
You know, Commander Chakotay from Voyager, and was Manny in Streethawk, and he is going to be a guest at Destination Star Trek, taking place at the Olympia, the Excel Center, 12th to the 14th of November, and they've just confirmed, my friend, Marina Sirtis.
Wow, I'm there.
Counselor Deanna Troy.
Oh, you got to love some Deanna Troy.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Of course, the other person, if you want to get stars from Streethawk, you know the person that you could get? George Clooney. George Clooney was in an episode of Streethawk, a very, very young George Clooney.
in fairness, he's not doing much these days, so we might have a chance of getting him. But
exactly. So yeah, so what do you want to talk to me about from Dusk Till Dawn, or you know, some of the other stuff I've been in? Do you want to talk about Batman? No, we want to talk about that one episode of Streethawk in 1986 that you were in.
Yeah, that 45 minutes and that you really can't remember, but just tell us about it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of my favorite episodes, funny enough.
Well, we'll save that.
We'll cover
for the Streethawk conversation. We've got a lot more coming up on Retro Chat this year, and Lee's going to be a big part of it. He hasn't agreed to some of it, but you know.
Okay, that sounds good. I know we're going to be. There's Knight Rider 2008, which I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, that's coming up in the not too distant future, as I understand it. Looking forward to that. Again, another show that doesn't get its due respect, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think in December we've got an Only Fools and Horses we're going to be touching on, which is Miami Twice, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
And again, I am a huge fan. It's got to be my favorite Christmas movie. I even bought, you know, I'm in a flat now and buying some stuff for myself. I even got, and this is an exclusive, and I'll bring it out on the show, a little Funko Pop of Clark Griswold with his Santa hat on and his little Santa jacket with the suit on underneath from Christmas Vacation. So I'll bring that out live on the show.
Amazing. Mate, I can't wait for that. Now, I'm hoping that the next time we do a show, or the next time we catch up, I'm going to have something for you, because at the end of November, I'm going to London to watch Back to the Future, the musical.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I'm I could see the Cafe 80. I could see the t-shirt. So I'm going to try, if I can, and get you a program or something from Back to the Future, the music,al so that
would be amazing. I would love that.
Because it's going to be a cracking show. Cannot wait to see it. We are going to be doing a special episode of Retro Chat, all about Back to the Future, the musical. We're going to go live November the 30th. that will be airing, and I might even go live and do that one.
Why not?
I can't wait.
I would love to sit there as a guest on the show and literally just listen to you talk about it. I'll get my 3 DeLoreans out and I'll have them available and on display. That'll be cool.
But you're booked.
Yeah. And do you know, interesting bit of trivia about that. We haven't talked about M.A.S.K for at least 15 minutes, but when the ABC cinema closed in Bournemouth, the last ever movie they showed there was, and this went out to public vote, was Back to the Future. They dressed it up. There was a DeLorean outside, and they had all the posters from the same era that Back to the Future was. So everything from sort of 1985, 1986. They had posters, movie posters up, all out in the inside of the theatre. They played Back to the Future, and it wasn't the digital version with the digital projector. They played it on an old cinema. You could hear it ticking away in the background. That was awesome. And everyone got given at the end a flyer. And it's absolutely spot on. Save the clock tower. You flip it over, and on the back it says "I love you," and it's got the number that Jennifer wrote on the top of it. I've got that framed over there with my Back to the Future memorabilia.
Oh, fantastic!
So that's really good.
Yeah, I was down here at that point when they. Well, I was in Weymouth when they did that, because that was what, mid 2000s, about 2010.
I think it was a bit after that. I was working at Google at the time, so I think it's probably about 2013 potentially.
Yeah, so I'd been down here for a couple of years, so I didn't even know that. Oh, what a shame! Never got to that.
Really great night.
Just talking Back to the Future again, M.A.S.K is completely gone. We've done that. M.A.S.K is completely gone. A mutual friend of ours, Dean Dionysu from Event Merchandising.
Yeah.
From TNAEurostore.com or Impact Eurostore or the Bond Store, told me once about they went to a drive-in cinema adventure in London, and it was Back to the Future they were showing, and it was a cinema escape, and they did the whole set of Hill Valley. So you went in, you could have the Cafe AT was there, they had the clock tower, they had the housing estate where they were, everything, the school, the high school, Jennifer's house, all of that was there, and you could just drive in and then get out of the car, have a walk round, go into the sets, get back into the car and watch Back to the Future on the clock tower.
How amazing. How amazing. So is your retro, have you done a Back to the Future show so far about the movies?
No, but I think I'm going to changing the schedule and doing one pretty quick.
So what I think you need to do is you need to do a 2-parter. You need to do one about the movies and then another one about the musical, and do it a 2-parter Back to the Future show. I think that would be really cool.
Do you know what? I'm going to be changing my schedule and talking to you when you're available so we can do the 2-parter together. Have you seen the animated?
I have seen the animated stuff. I've got mixed feelings about it, but yes, I have seen it.
Save that until we talk about it. There you go. It's a live production meeting on air.
Yeah, doing it. And not to even mention the game as well.
I haven't played that.
Now, this is something that Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox, I totally forgot what he was called, and the producers of Back to the Future have said if there was to be a 4th Back to the Future movie, this would be it. And you can, it's available on Xbox One to download. It's well worth downloading. It's more of a puzzle game than an action game, but it's certainly got a really good story in it. If you don't want to do that, go on YouTube and look for all of the cutscenes, because it's sort of edited together in a bit of a movie, and you can watch that.
Was that the Telltale one? Was that the one produced by them, or was that...
It is the Telltale one, yes, but and it is very similar to other Telltale games if you've played them, like the Batman one, the Walking Dead, where you can sort of walk to different things and interact with them. But yeah, lots of puzzles to solve and things like that. But again, if you just want to watch the cutscenes, check it out on YouTube. Really, really good.
Have you seen, before we wrap up, have you seen the fake trailer for Back to the Future 4?
Is that the one where he steps out of the car again and he says, "Is it time to go back?" or something like that? Yeah. And well, it was actually an ad for deodorant or something stupid, wasn't it? And someone edited it together and said, "Oh, it's coming, Back to the Future 4."
But it was fantastic. You just sit there and you didn't think it was a fake trailer. And then the deep fake with Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, so good, so good.
If they're ever going to reboot it, that is the perfect cast.
I think so.
Oh, anyway,
that's the end of our Back to the Future podcast.
Yes, welcome.
So M.A.S.K was really good. But no, just to come full circle with it again, M.A.S.K. Well, I know we've gone way off topic, but M.A.S.K. certainly I would probably identify it as probably my favorite toy line as a kid. Really great. Had the show to go on with it. You can still get M.A.S.K. merchandise out there. I believe you can still buy the DVDs. There are other ways and means of watching episodes online if you want to. We're not going to endorse it, but you can check it out if you do a bit of a search, or if you want to have the originals or certainly copies of the originals, they're available to buy online. I would recommend it. If you like your Transformers, Centurions again is another one. Things like that. People with transforming vehicles and gadgets and all that kind of stuff. You like that sort of thing, then I definitely recommend M.A.S.K. if you haven't seen it.
You're going to love it. Just check it out. Episodes are on YouTube as well. And the one thing that I've really loved doing about the show is going back and looking at the old toy adverts. That they did.
Yes.
I don't know. We were so young, we can't remember the toy adverts when they were airing. And now you're watching them thinking, I had that.
Yeah.
I wish I still had that.
The other thing was comics around about that time. I used to get, I was allowed to subscribe to one comic that came from my local newsagent. It'd be a weekly comic. I would change it up every so often. Sometimes it was just a normal standard comic. Other times it was like the Transformers comic or the Real Ghostbusters I've subscribed to at one point. But it would always come on a Saturday morning. And it would be delivered with the papers about 7 o'clock, and you'd open it up, and there'd be a full page ad of like M.A.S.K. figures and M.A.S.K. vehicles, and it'd be ones, maybe new ones that I hadn't even seen before, and I'd be like, oh my god! And knowing full well that we'd go out that day with my mum and dad, and we'd be going into town and maybe going near a toy shop, and I'd set my sights on one, and I'd be thinking, this is the one I'm going to get. I'm going to get this today. I'm definitely going to get this today. Raid the piggy bank, get some money out. And just the excitement, and the morning seemed to last for hours when you were just waiting, just staring at that page every 5 minutes and thinking, is it time to go out yet? Because I really want to buy this.
It's like when you used to drive past Fleetsbridge in Bournemouth. If anybody who's listening to this from Bournemouth will know Fleetsbridge, and Toys R Us opened. You know, and it was a huge building that we had. It's now a Smith's, and it's split into 3 different units, but it was a huge building, and you walked in there. And then you saw all the G.I. Joe and all the M.A.S.K. and all the WWE and WWF at that point. I don't know about you, but it was like being a kid in the candy store, wasn't it? You just kind of
absolutely. I mean, I don't know about you. I still wander into Smith's Toys today with my little boy because, you've got to have an excuse to go in there. But I walk straight up to the wrestling figures, have a good look through. There's kids all there. Like, get out of the way. I want to have a look and see what. Look for all the ones that are branded WWE, but they're in AEW now. That's what I like to.
Yeah, every time I do that, I seem to text you. This one's available. It's on sale now. This one's on sale. I have to spend more time looking at Paw Patrol or Fireman Sam these days, but I do try pulling her over to the Masters line or the.
I like the new Masters of the Universe toys. They're exact kind of remolds of the original ones, and that is absolutely amazing for me. They're slightly different plastic than I remember, and there is some articulation in the knee, but other than that, it is exactly the same mold as it used to be back in the day.
It's just a shame the cartoon's so terrible.
The
Netflix CGI one is awful, but apart from that, it was brilliant. Right, let's begin to wrap this up. It's been a fantastic chat. I've really enjoyed this one. Thank you for coming back on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure as always. If you would like to see more of Lee each and every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, whenever the live stream decides it wants to work, you can do that by going to twitch.tv/the M.A.S. Network. Live every, is it 8 o'clock on a Monday? Or are you doing
we're doing 8 o'clock on Mondays at the moment. Peek behind the curtain. I sometimes, as in this evening, work till 6 o'clock in the evening. So it just gives me time to get home and get sorted before I go on air at 8. So whilst we're on Mondays through the course of October, it's going to be 8 o'clock start, and then from the 31st onwards, we're back on Sundays and we're back to our normal 7 o'clock start time.
Perfect. So you can check out Lee on twitch.tv/the M.A.S. Network, or subscribe on any of the normal podcast feeds to listen to it on a Monday, if it's on a Sunday, on a Tuesday, if it's on a Monday, the day after, whenever they go live.
Absolutely.
And you can listen to the classic era M.A.S., which I believe is coming up to the change soon.
It will be, I think it was the first show of 2010. When when Lawrence debuted and Simon Miller, for those of you who understand what a media phenomenon Simon Miller is these days, and Martin came on board as well, and because it was the same show where Hulk Hogan debuted on TNA. It was the first show in 2010, so we're not too far off from that.
So you're about to join that. So at the moment, you can still listen to the old school Lee and I.
Yeah. And they're all in the archives as well. You can check all of those out.
And you can hear about how I nearly killed him in Bridport, and when we went to see a live show, and all this type of thing. Check all of that out. And then from January, it's the M.A.S. that you all knew back from when it really hit the mainstream after we moved on. So check out the Ministry of Slam on that. And don't forget to check us out October 27 at 8 o'clock for Julia's House, Quiz Night Live, the Trivia Master Challenge, 5 rounds, 50 questions, a bit of everything. I'm going to be there. I think Lee hopefully will be there.
I will be there. I'm going to put it in my diary.
And may even get Lee asking some questions live on the stream. Who knows?
Why not? I'm happy with that.
There we go. And we will be broadcasting on Facebook, on YouTube, and hopefully, if I can get it working, on Twitch. That's 27th October. Please donate. All the funds go to Julia's House. Let's just raise some money for this amazing charity and make a difference to children and their families here in Dorset and Wiltshire. But that's it.
That's it. We're done. M.A.S.K, bring it back. It's been too long since the 80s. We need M.A.S.K back. End of.
And we'll be back very soon with Streethawk, Lee and I. I'll be back next week with Halloween Havoc.
Oh, which one? Or just all of them?
No, I'm going to go for 1997.
So that's your... I'm trying to think now. 1997. So that's... so it's before Sting comes back. But you've got Crow Sting in full force. I can't remember exactly what happens on that one, but
I'll give you 4 words and see if you can work out the main event.
Yeah.
War to settle the score.
Oh, was that Piper and Hogan? Was it the... Yeah, I remember that.
Piper Hogan. It's meant to be one of the most atrocious Halloween Havocs ever made, but it's at the height of the NWO. So we're going to go back to 1997 and watch Halloween Havoc 97 one more time.
I don't know why you put yourself through it.
I don't know why either. It was that or 2001. I don't know which one was worse.
Oh, no.
And then we'll be back with more retro chat all the way through November. Stay tuned to the archive. On a Friday, you get classic content, LAC, Masters of the Universe Chronicles with Chris Vince, some retro TSC interviews with Lee and I. I've just realized, listening back to some of those, I barely said a word in those interviews.
we used to plan out the interviews, and like I ask one question, you ask the next, then I ask one, then you ask one, and it worked like that. But yeah, it's weird. I think you took the lead on some of them.
Oh, I had the Kurt Angle one a few weeks ago that we did. Remember when we did that one live?
Yes.
The one takeaway I remember of that is they gave us a gift pack.
Yeah.
And I think we left it in the car park.
We left it. Yeah. Because have you got the bag? No, I thought you had it. Well, I thought you had it. Where is it? Oh, I think we left it when we were paying for our car ticket to get out of the car park. We put it down next to it.
And then we went up that really curvy, steep to get out the car park. Remember? Oh, anyway.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway, that's it for us. Lee, thank you, my friend, for joining us.
No problem at all.
We'll be back next week. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more retro chat. Until then, see you soon. Take care.